Hello, and welcome to another installation of the Central American Group's series of podcasts. In these discussions, we talk with individuals that are expert in issues that have to do with regional economics in Central America and commerce and trade. Today, we're speaking with Miguel Flores. He is the CEO of a company that is based in San Salvador, El Salvador, called Logística Internacional, or Loginter. How are you doing today, Miguel?
Hi, Steven. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I hope we can provide and interchange some good information on this podcast.
Well, I'm sure we will. Today, the discussion is around the port of Acajutla, which is located in El Salvador. Can you tell us a little bit about where that is in terms of the geography of your country?
Yes, Acajutla, it is our main port. It is located in the state of Sonsonate, which is the northeast part of El Salvador. As a reference, is close to Guatemala.
When did the operations at Acajutla begin?
Acajutla Port is managed by a governmental entity called CEPA, which means Comisión Ejecutiva Portuaria Autónoma. This entity was founded on the 1950s and has been operating Acajutla as well as the airport and as well as the La Unión port, which is another port that was built on the Gulf of Fonseca, very close to Honduras, and as well is in charge of the railroads. We don't have right now one, but they are the ones who manage all these logistic corridors for our country.
What type of vessels does the port accommodate?
We receive several types like container vessels, bulk carriers, tankers, car carriers, or other specialized vessels like for special heavy lift cargoes or overweight cargoes. So the port is very well prepared for receiving basically every type of vessels, including cruise ships, which is a very interesting part of this type of vessels calling our ports.
Yeah, I would imagine those are filled with people that are looking to go surfing in El Salvador.
Yes, exactly. Surfing and getting a good coffee and getting always a very good tan and sunshine every day.
Sounds like a good place to go. What kind of products are shipped in and out of Acajutla?
Basically, our one of majorities is of commodities that we import are in the bulk carriers. We'll say wheat, soybean meal, corns, that type of commodities. On bulk carriers as well for export, we have a very good export of bulk sugar going to countries like United States or some others in Russia or other parts in the world. On the containers, almost every shipping line is calling our port. Can mention Maersk, One, MSC, Costco, CMI, CGM, APL. Those are the ones that are from the top of my mind, but almost every shipping line is calling our port. In terms of tanker vessels, this is a very interesting point because besides going to the pier of CEPA, there are three different marine terminals who can as well accommodate tanker ships that brings our gasoline, diesel, jet fuel to our countries. So that's give you a general idea of the capacity of Acajutla port.
Well, what kind of volume of cargo comes into the port of Acajutla?
As a reference, I will give you some big numbers, easy to remember, easy to describe. For example, in terms of metric tons, we have a total imports of 3.8 million tons on 2018. On the export, we did a total of 1.2 million of metric tons. This will means approximately an increase of 5% compared to 2017. In terms of TEUs, which is a 20-feet equivalent unit, is a measure to describe the containers. We have a total import of 118,000 TEUs of import, and we had 111,000 TEUs of exports. In this case, we double the total TEUs that the port handled. I'm sorry, not double. We just have a 10% increase on the volume, which is the double of the ones that we did on bulk cargos.
Now, do you see going into the future the volume of these shipments increasing?
Yes, it is increasing. And as well, the port is doing what they had to do in terms of equipment, infrastructure, to accommodate more cargo, because we think that El Salvador has to increase, and there are new investments around the area. And of course, the volumes will increase in the next 2-3 years.
What kind of equipment has been invested in order to handle that increased cargo that you're referring to?
In the terms of bulk cargo, has been the port has been equipped with new clamshells from 15 cubic yards or 18 cubic yards. In terms of containers handling, there are new straddle carriers that they bought recently. It was almost a 3 million investments on these. As well, the roads itself, everything that goes in and out to the piers has been given a very good maintenance to facilitate the transportation of the containers or all the cargo that is being handled on the port.
Is there a defined plan for investments in 2019?
Yes, there is. And as far as I know, the board directors of SEPA had approved to buy, and I think they already did, some gantry cranes to handle containers that will allow us to increase the rate of discharge of loading of containers in our port. This is something that it is very strategic. It's a very good thinking from the board of directors of SEPA to invest in this type of equipment in order to provide to our customers. I will refer customers as the shipping lines, to call more often our ports and increase, of course, the offers or any space on their vessels.
Can you tell us about the new liquid natural gas plant that has been installed at Acajutla?
Yes, this is about 1,000 million investment. It is done by a local company jointly with a USA company. This is a project that has been on the table already for 3 or 4 years. However, of course, there are a lot of documentation, the paperwork, authorization that had to be presented and comply before getting the approval from the government and the go-ahead to construct or build this plant. Is going to be a facility where one storage vessel will receive several ships where they will storage and will liquidate the gas and will generate electrical energy that has been I think it's 350 or 380 megawatts that this plant is going to generate. The plant they are already moving soil. The process that they're doing right now, it is that by the end of this year, the cargo, the pipelines, and the construction will start coming to our port. And I think that is one of the biggest investment that local and foreign companies will be doing in our country for this and for the next year.
You mentioned the port of La Union, which is in the Gulf of Fonseca. Does it compete with the port of Acajutla?
I think it will generate some competition that it is good. It is good in terms of getting more efficient. But I think Acajutla already has defined a very good strategy for keeping the actual customers. And La Union Port probably is going to, personally, I think, will be a very good port to generate a transshipment operation from big ships, discharging to a smaller ship, and making some distribution from our port to the rest of Central American and probably some South American ports. I hope that this concession of this port will come soon because will help our economy on that part of the country. But with Acajutla, I think they're going to compete in terms of service, but at the end, I think they will have different customers or different type of operations.
Well, given that you're an expert in freight that's coming in and out of Acajutla and La Union, could you tell the listeners a little bit about your company, Loginter, and what kind of services that you could provide for companies that are looking to do business in the Central American region?
Yes, Loginter there are two main investors in that company. One is Grupo Guerrero, which they are developers and they own free zones in El Salvador and Costa Rica. And the other investors is Grupo Maritimo, which are more on the side of shipping line representation, vessel attendance, trucking, freight forwarding, and these and other similar activities. Both groups join forces to create Loginter, which is a distribution center, regional distribution center for companies that want to do business in the region. They don't need to have a legal entity to bring their commodities to our country. We store, distribute their commodities through the region, and we are actually developing, and probably in the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to be ready to operate as Loginter Costa Rica, as well, in the same way that we do Loginter El Salvador, in terms of warehousing, distribution, and value-added services to companies that want to do business in the region.
Well, after hearing you, I'm sure that our listeners have questions that they'd probably like to ask you. Is there some way that they could get in contact with you in order to ask whatever's on their mind?
Yes, of course. I invite everybody to visit our webpage, the Central American Group, where you can find our list of contacts, or you can explore a little bit more in detail of everything that we are in the capacity to offer you in this part of the world.
Thank you very much for the information that you provided. It's been interesting and useful, and we hope to have an opportunity to talk to you about more things in the future.
Of course, Steven. So always at your orders here, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye, Stephen.